Hello, welcome to Caring Connections. I'm Sally Gibney. Our show today is about people who are making caring connections every single day. It's about Neighbor to Neighbor, the most wonderful group of people in our community who are reaching out to each other all the time. I'm so happy to introduce Kate Koss, who is the director of Neighbor to Neighbor. Hi, Kate.
Hi, Sally. Thank you so much for having us here today.
Oh, thank you for being here. Could you first just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm director of Neighbor to Neighbor, and I've been working in human services for most of my life. I love working with people, and I love planning events and doing some fundraising, and I just really enjoy that whole atmosphere and what I do at Neighbor to Neighbor.
Now, tell me about your family, and where do you live?
I live in Arlington. My husband and I have 3 girls.
Nice.
And the last one is getting married on June 21st,
Ooh.
so we're preparing for a wedding.
Very exciting, very exciting. And I know you've been very, very involved with children and youth a lot.
Yes, I have, yeah, I have. I used to work, before Neighbor to Neighbor, I worked with the Red Cross, and I did a lot of work with youth, and I also did a lot of traveling for disaster relief.
Yeah, so you really have been doing this sort of thing all your life.
Yeah, since I graduated, yes.
That's wonderful. We're so glad to have you here. Now, tell us a little bit about Neighbor to Neighbor.
Neighbor to Neighbor is an organization, it's a volunteer-based organization, and we provide services for older people, disabled, services that allow people to remain in their own homes for as long as possible.
That's so important, isn't it?
It is incredibly important, especially today.
Yeah.
And we always think of ourselves as an organization that fills in the gaps. We don't have a senior center in the area. We don't have transportation in the area. So our volunteers provide transportation to medical appointments. They help people with grocery shopping. They help people run errands. We provide social events, which really eliminates a lot of the isolation that people feel. But most importantly, the program is about making a connection with someone.
Yeah.
We have volunteers and their care receivers that have formed wonderful relationships and that have lasted for years.
Oh, that's so neat, and as we said, so very important. So would you introduce us to some of your people?
I would. I'd like to introduce you to Lucinda Cooper.
Hi, Lucinda.
And Mary Miner. Lucinda is one of our volunteers and Mary is one of our care receivers.
Lucinda, would you tell us a little bit about your experience with Neighbor to Neighbor?
Well, I joined Neighbor to Neighbor through a friend of mine who is one of the on the board of directors, Barbara Howland, and I loved everything I heard about it. And
Barbara is great about sharing it, isn't she?
Yes, yes. And I wanted to feel that I could make a difference and meet people who needed help with things we take for granted every day. Shopping, going to the movies, a play, an event, doctor appointments. Kate pretty much covered what Neighbor to Neighbor does offer. I brought a little brochure that we have. It's old. It's from when I joined 7 years ago, I believe.
Also, you just spend some time with people too, don't you? Just a little visit, which can make
Mary
a huge
and I
difference.
very often go for rides, drives, and on holidays, if Mary has a son that isn't always available, so at Easter, she joined us for Easter dinner.
Oh, nice.
And we try to go to a place that is her favorite, or her favorite.
Oh, that's neat.
Rib roast.
Let's hear about that, Mary.
I was lucky to get the Coopers.
Up a little farther.
Further? Okay.
Yeah.
I was
Closer
lucky
in.
to get the Coopers because they've been so good to me. They take me to the hair and the doctors and foot doctors and wherever I want to go, they take me. They've been wonderful. I couldn't ask for a nicer couple. They're wonderful people to me. So I'm blessed.
And dear friends.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky to have them in my life.
Well, you,
You know.
Mary, you were Volunteer of the Year, weren't you? And you have been someone who has been giving to the community forever.
Yeah, I
And you
worked at
still-
the thrift
you-
shop for
you-
23 years. So
Up until just recently,
yes,
right?
just recently I got through.
Not to mention what you do for the You Are Never Alone Foundation.
Yes, right.
I can't help but mention that.
I've been with that about 7, 8 years or more.
Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed that too. So,
Well, you've been such a gift to us and to all
so I
of
guess
us.
I'm so lucky. I know I'm lucky.
Will
But
will
the-
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say the connection that Lucinda and Mary have made is exactly what we want to happen with neighbor to
Exactly.
neighbor.
Yeah.
So we're like family, aren't we,
We
Mary?
certainly are. Yes.
Well, you have often talked about Lucinda and the wonderful things that you do. And can you share with us what it means to you?
Well,
To
it
have
means a
them in your
lot because
life.
I don't drive,
Uh-huh.
and really I don't have too many people up this way that that I could depend on to go to the doctors, and then they're always right there. They're so nice, both of them. Mr. and Mrs. Cooper are wonderful.
Now, if you have an emergency or something, you can call Lucinda, can't you? If something comes up.
Oh, sure, I could call her. I wouldn't hesitate a minute to call her if I had them.
My husband is a volunteer as
Yeah.
well.
Could you?
So, my husband, Cliff Cooper, is a volunteer. So if I can't take Mary, my husband, Cliff, will, often does. And we have a great old time together.
Lucinda, could you just share a little bit about your husband sharing, volunteering? Because I think it's important for men to know that they can volunteer.
Yes, I don't know how many men there are as volunteers, but
they're welcome.
I think it's a
They're
minimal
welcome.
number.
Yeah, always welcome.
My husband joined about 3 years ago or so, and he very often, a man care recipient likes to have a man volunteer.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
Cliff willingly does that. And he drives the ladies too. He loves the ladies.
And I'm sure the ladies,
ladies
love
love
that.
Yeah. I want to jump in for a minute here too, because it's important for people to know that if Mary needed something and neither Cliff nor Lucinda were available, she would call the office and we would find somebody to
Yeah.
take her wherever she needed to go.
Which is really, I think the interplay is so important. The fact that, you do have a particular person, but if that's not possible, then there's someone else
There's
who
somebody
can.
else that can step in.
Which is,
And nobody has mentioned it's an absolutely free service that we
very
provide.
important fact. Very
Totally,
important fact.
totally volunteer and free.
Yeah.
And occasionally, if there's a long distance drive appointment for a recipient, we can get from gas cards, which reimburse.
Which is great, especially with the cost of gasoline
the
today. There
cost
might
of
be
gasoline.
people who want to volunteer, but it is it's a kind of difficult for them with financially.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Occasionally we do long distance trips to Dartmouth or maybe over to Schenectady, and we have gas cards available for that.
which is great. Which
Have
is
you ever
really-
mentioned, Kate? I don't think we've ever been told the distance that is allowed.
We service 11 towns. We service from Sandgate
Wow.
all the way up to the fringes of Rutland County and out to Peru and Bonneville.
Wow, that's
So we service a
huge.
large area.
And you
Yeah.
mentioned Schenectady.
Oh, I'm talking about driving. Yes, we.
Yes.
Yeah, we've
No.
taken people to Dartmouth, to Schenectady, to the Albany Medical Center. We don't do that very often, but on occasion, several times
If
a year.
there's no other option for
There's
this
no other
person,
option, right?
Which is really
Yeah, a lot of our
great.
trips are to Bennington and Rutland, and of course around town.
Right, which is really, really great. Well, thank you, girls, for sharing.
You're very
And-
welcome.
And now I think we'll hear from two more. Well, we're back. Kate, would you please introduce our next guest?
Yes, this is Carlin Shear. Carlin is one of our volunteers, and Sandy Carey. Sandy is the care receiver.
Nice. Well, now, will you tell us a little bit, Carlin, about your experiences with Neighbor to Neighbor?
Well, I love Neighbor to Neighbor. I love the lunches and the gatherings they have, and they always have entertainment at the lunches every once a month. And she's not my regular, but I have a regular gal that I see every week, and we go out and we go for drives
Oh, that's
She
nice.
loves to go for drives. She's an old Vermonter.
Uh-huh.
And we go for lunch. I have done laundry.
Is that right? I'll bet.
But I got-
You sort of feel the need. Whatever
Yeah, well,
the
there
need
was
is.
a couple of times that it just was that. But it's fun being with her. She's a very bright person, and we have long, wonderful conversations. And sometimes it gets hectic, but it's fun. I really like doing it with her.
Now, how many years have you been doing it?
I can't remember.
Just a couple, yep.
It's 3, but I did it a while ago, and then I had my knees replaced,
Oh, wow.
my ankle replaced, so I was out of it for a while.
Now, did you have someone come and help you when you had
No,
all
I
your
should have.
surgery?
I should have.
Because you can go back and forth as a
Yeah, I
volunteer
know.
and a recipient,
I
I'm
should have,
sure.
but my husband and all our animals took care of me.
She's
the
a new
animals-
model now. You know, she's had everything replaced. She's a new model and all set
I
to
set
go.
off all the alarms in the airport.
Is that right? Oh, that's great. Well, what does it mean to you being a volunteer for Neighbor to Neighbor?
Well, I've always liked doing volunteer stuff, and I used to teach an art class at Equinox Terrace and things like that. So I
Really?
love doing that, and I love the people you meet and the conversations you have, and it's really fun to do it.
And to hear the history, I'm sure.
What?
And to hear the history.
Oh
of
yeah, they hear the
people.
history, and and I've been around Vermont. I'm not a woodchuck. I'm not born here, but I came when I was 11 first.
Really?
So that was just a couple of years ago, right? But
Absolutely.
you know, you meet such wonderful people that have been here and know the history of Vermont and everything. I love that. And the luncheons, you meet a lot of nice people
Yeah.
and chat with them.
But what a gift you are to people, to be there and to share your experiences and to help them.
Yeah, it really is
Whatever.
fun.
You know, our volunteers have the gift of listening,
Yeah.
which is so important. And I think so many of our older folks have so much to offer. They have so much to say.
Absolutely.
There's just a world of knowledge and experience there.
Yeah.
And our volunteers are very good at listening, which is a very, very important quality.
Absolutely. Listening is the greatest gift you can give to someone
Mm.
because it makes them feel like they're important and that there's someone there listening and you know.
Keep me from getting off on a tangent for too long.
Well, that's something we all do, isn't it?
So, how about Sandy? Do you want to share a little bit about what it's been like receiving care?
Yes, I'll tell you, I say God bless you. And I mean it from my heart because I don't know what I'd do without Neighbor to Neighbor. And I mean it. They're so good to me. And I got started through my husband, Elmer, with Barbara Howland. That's how we got started and introduced to it. And then, unfortunately, my health hasn't been too good lately. And I'm one of the Albany people because I've had some serious eye problems, and they have to, that's where they are. So I just could never get along without them. And history. I've learned so much, and I've made so many friends.
Isn't that neat?
And the best part is I found I have a grandson that lives with me, and they all love him too.
Oh, that's
And
so
Michael,
neat.
Michael is developmentally disabled,
Yes.
and he comes to our events. And
Oh, does he?
Yeah. Yes, he does.
So, you know, it's really not just for the recipient, it's family too.
Yes,
the
it is.
family is involved.
And I've met so many people, so many. And every time I get an appointment, I'm like, well, call Muriel first and then Kate. Because Muriel is a part of Neighbor to Neighbor, but she's also belongs to my church and takes me to church every Sunday.
Oh, that's nice.
So, and she's a wonderful friend too, but we couldn't do it without Kate.
You know,
Well, thank you.
Well, that's for sure. Kate is everyone's angel.
She is.
She really is.
Oh,
I think
my
everyone-
halo.
But it's true, Kate. It really
And
is.
it's fun.
And everyone feels that
It
way.
gets me out. Otherwise, I would never go out, I swear. But between that and Barbara Howland, I always make sure she's got me right on the phone. And
And that's what's so important, because people can so easily become isolated and feel alone.
It's very easy
And
to
so
do that.
having someone come in even,
Yes.
it just makes such a difference, such a huge
Yeah, so
difference.
we went to the theater actually Sunday afternoon. Michael and I did with Barbara.
Oh,
and Bev.
nice.
Yes, it was fun.
Oh, that's
We really
great.
enjoyed it.
Oh,
so.
that's wonderful. Thank you so much for
You're
sharing
welcome.
this, both of you. Kate, who's next?
Let's see. I would like to introduce Jim Milton
Hi,
and
Jim.
Harriet Boone. Now, Jim,
Hi, Harriet.
Jim is a care receiver, but he's also a volunteer. He helps whenever we do events. You can find Jim in the kitchen washing dishes or making sandwiches, right? And Harriet has been with us since the program began, and that's almost 10 years.
Wow. That's amazing. That is so amazing. Well, let's start with you, Jim. How does it feel?
Well, I've been living in Vermont for about 30 years plus, and I first became acquainted with Catherine when I developed eye trouble, and she supplied me with rides to the doctor. In fact, Lucinda's husband has driven me a couple of times. Then almost immediately I got involved with setting up for the lunches and whatever needed
And
to be done.
somehow you were drawn into the kitchen.
Yeah, drawn into the kitchen. Whatever needed to be done.
Well, you're
got
the
involved
kind of
with-
guy we all want around. I mean, right, ladies? Isn't that great? You even wash dishes, huh?
That's the most important part
Yeah.
of this thing. Getting out among the living, and talking with people. This isolation business is a very important item. It's very important to people to get to events like this, and very satisfying to both sides, whether you're volunteering or whether you're a recipient. It's a blessing to this area. Catherine is truly a blessing to this area.
Absolutely. Also, I wonder if you would share with us, how did you feel as a man? I mean, I think sometimes men hesitate to ask for help. Like they kind of think
Don't
that
ask for
they should be able
directions,
to,
yeah.
never ask for directions. We won't even go there. But as far as, was it difficult for you to ask for help?
Oh no,
You were able to?
I mean it was needed.
Uh-huh.
So
It was just something that you
Just,
did. And could you share with us the importance of men volunteering? Because I think that
there are, I think, at least half a dozen or so.
Probably half a
Yeah.
dozen.
And of course we need more.
And would you encourage a man to come out and do
Oh,
this?
certainly. We need more drivers, more people to help set up and break down the tables and things like that. We can always use volunteers. And the ones that are presently there bring in food to the dinner, lunches. And yesterday we had a fine feast.
Really?
And the choir from high school in Arlington came up, and we had a very nice concert.
Nice.
And we go to films or have a film in the church or concerts, plays. We recently went to a play put on by the MEMS children.
Aladdin.
It was very, very good.
And professional.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
And you know what it is, too? It's a gift to the children to have all of you come and participate. This is what it's all about. It's the interconnection of generations and of people just reaching out, and that's what we need more of today.
Very important.
We try and do a lot of intergenerational things. We have groups of kids that will go out in the fall and in the spring and do yard work. We try and work with a lot of the schools because it is important, and it's an example to the children as well as to the importance of volunteering.
Well, if we don't teach them, they're not going to know.
Right.
And I get so upset when I hear people say, "Oh, the kids are who we teach them to be."
That's right.
If we don't teach them, if we don't show them, how do they know? It really is up to us. Thank you, Jim. Harriet, would you share with us?
Thank you.
Now, you are one of the first people.
I have an idea. I had the first care recipient. I'm not sure, but she was a lady from South America,
you did.
and I would go and sit with her during the morning while her daughter worked. And she would play the piano, and we would sing church songs endlessly. Then we would play cards, and lunch came, and her daughter nicely left a sandwich for both of us. So we had a very nice morning visit, and I enjoyed her ever so much.
Oh, that's neat. Now, what other kinds of things have you been doing over the years?
Well, I also had a lovely lady who suffered from a heart attack and a stroke, and she needed someone to come. Her daughter and grandchildren lived in the house. So I came and found out that she liked books, so we read. She presented me first with Mary, Queen of Scots.
Oh, wow.
And we read every word in that book. And then
What
in
a patient
conversation,
lady you are. What a special lady you are.
she spent some time as a girl in India. So there's a series of books about India. I can't remember the author, but there are 4 books, and I read through all 4 of them with her. And unfortunately, she's no longer with us, but I was with her right up to the last couple of days.
Wow.
But this program is also an enabler. It helps those who can still contribute to get out and take a part, as Jim does. And there's another lady who is 96 years old, goes with me every Tuesday to the terrace. And we have a little knitting group. She helps when the ball drops on the ground. She runs after it and puts it back in the lap. She ties in the loose ends of the yarn, and she can pick up stitches. So that every Monday we go there, and she's really an assistant volunteer with me.
Isn't that wonderful? You know, I think you just touched on something that's so important, and that's enabling people to be a part of things and to contribute.
They still
And
can
that
and want
is,
to.
and absolutely, you know, and I think as we all go down the road and are aging, more and more of us are going to be needing the services,
true.
but also needing to be a part of the community, not to be isolated and out there. So what a gift Neighbor to Neighbor is.
I also want to say how well managed Neighbor to Neighbor is. Kate and Allison, they have it so that it's very easy for the volunteer. They will meet the care recipient in advance, who's usually referred by a doctor, and they find out their specific needs. Then they know all of us volunteers and know our strengths and weaknesses and interests. So the matches that Kate is able to make last a lifetime. And it's a very rewarding experience. You have a new friend, and you not only get that friend, but you get their children, their grandchildren, so you adopt a new family.
And you know, again, you hit on something very important, and that's that you become friends.
You do.
You know, you develop a relationship, which is really important. I think we have so much that we could say, and there's so many wonderful things here. But Kate, would you just let people know, I mean, if someone wants to volunteer, are they trained? I mean, how do you go about that process? And then again, if someone needs your assistance, what do they do? Could we quickly just
Sure.
cover
If
that?
someone wanted to volunteer, they could call our office, and I believe we'll have the number at the end of the show. They do go through an orientation, and they need to go through a background check.
Which also makes the recipients comfortable knowing that people have gone through a background check.
That's right. And that's a requirement of, we have an insurance policy, a liability policy that covers everyone. So that's a condition of the liability policy. But yeah, and then everyone knows, you know, that they're safe. People have had background checks, and people don't have to be concerned. So little people are concerned about maybe having a strange person come into their home.
Absolutely. Not only they, but their families might be concerned.
Right. And then if someone wanted to join the program, again, a lot of referrals come through doctors' offices, from other care receivers,
Churches.
but churches, various different places. But when someone joins the program, and again, they can call the office and inquire about
and
that.
a person can call themselves. They don't have to be referred.
That's right. They can call
and
themselves.
say,
Absolutely. They can call. I have actually a lady I'm visiting tomorrow that called herself, saw an article in the paper. I go out, I do a visit, a little assessment. We talk about what their needs might be and what we can do for them. And we sign them up for the program. And the program works in so many different ways. We have people that do friendly visits. We have volunteers that just want to drive. We have some people that come to the social events. So it works in a variety of different ways.
Yeah.
And I think it's why it's been so successful, because volunteers know how much time they can give, and they give what they can.
Yeah. And if there's someone who, say they go south for the summer, you know, those snowbirds,
That's
they
right.
can still do it when they're here.
Yeah, we have people that golf in the summertime, and so we have people that cover for them. We have people, yes, that go south. So it just works. We have
Right.
people that work as a team. We have someone we take shopping every week, and there's a team of 3 people. So
that's great.
It works very well.
And it works.
It works.
This is really wonderful, and I see that I'm being very, very good in looking at the time, and I think that we're kind of running down here, but we've really covered a lot. Is there anything really, really special that anyone wants to add that you think that we haven't? Lucinda?
I just would like people to know that I think anybody can stop in at the Neighbor to Neighbor office to get a brochure or an application for membership.
Great.
To be a volunteer. And I have one of the little brochures here with a telephone number.
We'll have that on the screen so people will see
Good.
it.
Yep.
Good.
So we have all that information.
Good.
And I wanted to this is such a wonderful, wonderful program, and I was a volunteer myself, so I understand what it's all about. And I really thank you all for everything that you're doing. You're wonderful. And Kate, you are everyone's angel. You really, really are.
Thank you.
And you know, you are making caring connections, and that's what this show is about. And I have little caring coins for everyone here, and you're all going to sign a little coin to put on our caring tree. And I just want to thank you all for all that you're doing, because this is so wonderful. And for all of you out there, Neighbor to Neighbor is such a wonderful, wonderful organization, and you can be a part of it. Each one of us can make a difference, one person at a time. And just a little act of kindness is the best thing that we can do, right?
Right.
Right. It really
Thank you,
makes a
Sally.
difference.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you all for being here. Let's give ourselves a hand.
Here we go.
And thank you out there for joining us. And until next time, keep on making those caring connections. Bye-bye.